Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I would like to talk about Mercury Retrograde. What is Mercury Retrograde? What is a planet, a retrograde planet? What it's like to be born during Mercury Retrograde? Alright, so let's dive in. What is a retrograde planet? First of all, a retrograde planet is a planet that seems to be moving backwards from the position on Earth, but in reality it isn't. It's just an optical illusion. So basically, if you imagine two cars driving at a high speed, and then one of them slows down, and if you are in the fast speeding car and you look at the slow speeding car, it seems like the slow speeding car is moving in the opposite direction because you're driving so fast. But in reality, they are moving in the same direction, but this is just an optical illusion that you are experiencing. So this is the same with the retrograde planets. All planets can go retrograde, except for the Moon and the Sun. And today we are talking about Mercury retrograde. So when Mercury goes retrograde, it tends to affect our communication, our relationship with our neighbors, our siblings, our mind also affects our mind. And to get a better understanding of how the Mercury retrograde can affect you, you should look at the house Mercury is transiting and also any aspect it's making to your natal planets. So before a planet, Mercury, in this aspect, turns retrograde, it first has to go through a shadow period, the pre-retrograde period, and also after Mercury turns direct, it is in a post-shadow period, which lasts a couple of weeks. So the pre-shadow period begins when Mercury reaches a degree at which it will turn direct at the end of its retrograde period. And then when Mercury goes direct and it's in the post-shadow period, the post-shadow period ends when Mercury reaches a degree at which it turned retrograde. So it can sound a bit confusing at first, but if you look at it from an example we've got coming up, Mercury going direct in Scorpio, the shadow period, the pre-shadow period will begin on the 23rd of September at 25 degrees of Libra, because Mercury will go direct at 25 degrees of Libra on the 3rd of November. So this is when the pre-shadow period starts in September at the same degree, we're matching the degrees. And then it will go retrograde on the 13th of October, and the post-shadow period will also match the degree that Mercury turned retrograde. So the post-shadow period will end around November 19th at 11 degrees of Scorpio. So that's when the degree when Mercury turned retrograde. All right, so oftentimes you hear that before Mercury goes retrograde, you should back up all your files, all your data. You shouldn't plan anything during Mercury retrograde. Plan anything beforehand. If you have any contracts to sign, sign them before or wait until Mercury goes direct. So this is because Mercury retrograde affects all these areas and aspects of your life. So it's better to be prepared before it turns retrograde. And if you were born during Mercury retrograde, then you will experience a Mercury retrograde on a very different level to people who weren't born during Mercury retrograde. So people who are born during Mercury retrograde, oftentimes they experience different type of challenges connected to communication and mind when they were young children or young adults. And this could have been, for example, not being able to communicate clearly with others, being misunderstood by others, not being understood in the right way. For example, feeling like no one understands your way of thinking. Maybe you can't connect to others very well. Also, people with displacement, oftentimes they question themselves before they take any further step in their life. They have a communication with themselves inside their mind. And also they have a tendency to project their thoughts on others. So if you think about something, for example, or something you want to say, you may experience that the person with you will suddenly say something similar what you have been just imagining. So all these misunderstandings during growing up may have caused some kind of insecurity, some kind of issues, and some kind of maybe even anxiety connected to the mind, and may have affected a confidence in the ability to communicate clearly, to communicate your thoughts, and overall use your intense and strong mental energy. As a result of that, people with displacement would highly benefit from working on their communication skills and trying to develop and grow them as adults, because they can definitely be overcome. We had a lot of successful people, celebrities with Mercury retrograde in their charts, like for example, Lady Gaga, Madonna, Steve Jobs. They all had Mercury retrograde in their charts. So these energies, these challenges can be overcome if we work with them. This could be therapy, this could be self-care, because if we don't work with them, they are likely to stay with us forever. The good thing about being born during Mercury retrograde is that when transiting Mercury turns retrograde, and this happens 3 times a year for 3 weeks, plus we've got the pre and post shadow periods, which I explained at the beginning of this video. This is when people with displacement shine, as they are familiar and natural with these energies of a Mercury retrograde. So this is a wonderful time for moving forward in your life with any projects, with any ambitions. It's a wonderful time when some new life opportunities may come your way. This is a time to make progress, certainly, and also because people who were born during Mercury retrograde, they've got such a strong mental energy that can be overwhelming otherwise. During the times when transiting Mercury goes retrograde, this is the time when they can use this mental energy to create something meaningful, when they can do some writing, creating, performing, whatever it takes. So if you are born during Mercury retrograde, have a look at any Mercury's retrograde in the past and see whether something changed in your life, something good happened in your life. And this could be a really interesting discovery. And with this in mind, I would like to thank you very much, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you. Bye.